All right, we're here in Eatonville, Florida. Now, this is a historic black town that has a lot of history, and we're here at Dajen Eats. I'm sorry, that's the name. It's a vegan spot that Tiffany has shown us to come here and eat some great food. Now, Tiffany will also accompany us in October to Kenya.
Yes.
So let's talk about that just real quick before we get into the food.
Okay.
So let's tell everybody about, and you know before that you did an interview with about World Views Travel, and tell everyone about that a little bit. Maybe have some newcomers that subscribe to the channel.
Okay. World Views is a no-hassle travel concierge service. We're partnering up with Phil to go to Kenya, Africa for the first time. No. You went to Ethiopia for the first time, so it's not his first time, but we'll be there October. And if you go on the website, worldviewswv.com, we have plenty of different tours for 2019 and 2020. We're going to Carnival 2020. This year we're hitting up Jamaica. There's a road trip, and of course we're going to Kenya. So check out the website.
Yeah, and then now let's talk about this food. So she brought us over here. She said y'all got to come to Eatonville. So this is the fish. What's that? Fish fry-yay? What is it called?
Fish fry-yay.
Now this is made out of, how you say that? Shaitan? How you say that? Say that again.
You guys had to help me with that.
Yes, it's a shaitan, right?
Shaitan, Satan.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's not actual fish, and it's they did it with an air fryer, because everything here is, if they do it with air fryer, but it's barely, you can see it on there. And then we also have the rice and peas, and just kidney beans, and is it chickpeas in this too?
Just get kidney beans.
Kidney beans, and then what? Now this is the This is the coleslaw.
The broccoli salad. We'll have broccoli in it too. So you have the cabbage, carrots, broccoli. Red cabbage. The red cabbage. And a sauce.
Yeah, and everything here is vegan. And then also, even though you see that is cauliflower. And yes, I mean people think that's cauliflower. I say, wow, really?
So I'm share with me.
Yeah, I'm sharing. You know, sharing is caring. I'm gonna try out the coleslaw.
That's really good. Did you try the cauliflower yet?
This was the first chance we got.
I'm good.
It's good.
Now I'm gonna try y'all the fish fry-yay.
Yes, we're working on
This is my first time ever having something like this. Like I said, this is not fish. You know, too much fish have mercury in it, and that's not good. You know, especially this day and time. I always tell people, well, they don't want pregnant women having fish, and there's something wrong, right? So let's try this out. That's good.
The cauliflower is tender. This was actually my first time trying this one. I had the brown stew cauliflower. This one is much better. It actually tastes like a chicken nugget.
Really? It tastes like chicken?
Yes, try it. For real.
Let me try it out. That's good.
And the sauce.
Real good. So it seems like I'm gonna try this rice real quick. You know, see, I come from the South. I'm used to dirty rice. You know, dirty rice. Huh?
With the ground beef and ground pork in it. That's how we do our dirty rice.
Dirty rice have your gizzards.
Okay.
And your pork. Okay. You know, because coming where I come from, and it got to be hot. You know, dirty rice is just a thing. You know, but I don't eat that no more. I can't fool with them gizzards and all that. But the rice is good as well. It was a good choice. So, many of you in the Orlando area, Eatonville, how many miles down the road?
Let's say 10 miles down the road from downtown Orlando.
10 miles. I suggest come over here, eat, try it out, because this is a good spot to eat. And also, we're going to get later, they have, and of course it's black owned. Also, they have desserts. They have the ice cream, vegan ice cream.
Yeah, dairy-free.
Dairy-free ice cream, right? Also, they have cakes and all that. So, hey, we're going to try a little of everything while we're here. So, Tiffany, let's talk to us a little bit about, the Eatonville, the history. I was reading that this particular town was named after a white landowner that sold land to African Americans, so they could establish their own city because the police officers was not treating them right. That's no different than now. So can you tell us like how it is in this town, like for the people? And I saw a police officer earlier at the front, but they wasn't harassing.
Okay. Well, see, I have my grandmother right here, who is the matriarch of our family, and she can tell you everything from Eatonville, how it started, and the name of the person. What's the name of? It's not Robert. Is it Robert? That's Robert Hungerford.
Yeah, the name Eatonville is from Dr. Eaton, and nobody would sell land to black people, but he agreed to buy 100 acres of land, deeded it to Mr. Clark, who was our founder, and then he divided the land into lots, 50 by 50 lots, 50 by 100, and sold them to the people that were here. Gives them a chance to be landowners.
So who was Robert Hungerford? Why did he get named after the school?
Robert, that's another Dr. Hungerford. He treated all of the black people in this area, even though he had to treat them, you had to go in the back door, you at least could get good medical.
So Robert Hungerford is also white?
Yeah, Robert Hungerford is also white, and his granddaughter used to visit the school up until the time that she couldn't remember what until dementia set in. But she visited the school, and the students would have a special day in her honor, and she'd come.
So the Robert Hungerford School was originally what?
It's an industrial school, it was academic. Our school was a boarding school, and people would come from Miami all over and live here and live on campus and go to school. But they were self-supporting in that the students raised their food. They had gardens, they had farm animals, and they learned agriculture, and they learned, auto mechanics, and building, contracting, in addition to the academics. So therefore, you were able to go to college when you finished if you wanted to, or you could go into a trade. So our school, it was like that for years until it was no longer self-supporting. We used to have kids here from all of the surrounding areas, all the black kids, because you couldn't attend the white school, it was still segregated. So Eatonville's school campus was made up of students from Apopka, Tangerine, Winter Park, Eatonville, Orlando. However, Orlando started at Jones High School, so they had a place for their black people to attend. But our children out here and all of those other areas, those other little towns, didn't have a place to go to school, so they had to come here. Excuse me. And the parents couldn't afford to pay, so pretty soon the boarding school students no longer would come because they started schools in the other areas for blacks. So then it was just the neighboring kids who were coming to school here. They couldn't afford to pay a tuition fee, so therefore our school was then sold to Orange County to become a public school just for the kids to get an education.
I want to ask you a question. Do you feel desegregation hurt this town?
Desegregation didn't hurt the town per se. I do think that we let our own guards down in a way with our kids. You were used to sending your kids to school and everything they needed, they got there. Because at this particular school, they got home economics, everything that you need. But when you integrated the schools, then this school was left with to really be an inferior school now because you don't have all of the things that you were getting before. And it did hurt our kids. But as far as the town, it didn't, well, I don't want to say it didn't hurt our town because it did in a way. because you got to have a school in a town.
Right.
You know, you got to educate your kids. So when you take away, see, for many years we had our academic high school, and then the county, when they integrated, of course, kids still were coming here, and they wanted to attend some of the schools in Wanna Park and the adjacent areas. So they started busing them and moving them in, and so it destroyed our our athletic department. All of our athletes, the good ones, of course, they were pulling them to the white schools so that they could, so that they could increase over there. But here, then they had to do something for their school in order to keep it alive. So they started what Tiffany remembers as what kind of school you remember?
I remember it as a trade school. Yeah. I remember my Uncle Didi got his plumber's license there. I remember kind of like the kids who didn't graduate high school and they weren't bad or they just couldn't get that diploma, so they go get a trade and they can get their high school diploma with it. So that's what I remember as how Wymore. Mm-hmm. But now, and then it went into be a preparatory school, so they tried to make it a private school, which brought in a lot of white people, and that lasted for what, 3 years?
Yeah, about 3 years.
Maybe 3 years, and that didn't work in this black town. So now it's just sitting there abandoned. Who owns it?
It's owned by Orange County School
Public
Board.
Schools?
Yeah. And we tried to get them to sell it back to the town of Eatonville, but there's so much controversy there. They agreed to let the town of Eatonville find somebody to lease it so that they could get some income from it. But right now, there's a lot going on with it.
Well, hold on. I have a question. So they get the school, they shut it down, and they don't want nobody to have it.
Well, they want them to have it if they can afford to pay for the property. It's prime property now because of
it's right next to
the highway.
Yeah. So they don't want to let it go for nothing. We asked that they give it back to the school, give it back to the town so that we could reestablish our own school. But of course, they want millions for it.
Are we on lettuce?
They bought it for, they got it for less than less than $5 million. Okay. Now they're asking millions for it. And they're selling it off in little bits without the town's knowledge or we know anything like that. There's a borrow pit or whatever you call that, where they, from the construction of the road. So we get that instead of getting something better. We get the borrow pit out here because the land is cheaper. So the county leased that land to the construction company so they could, put all of their stuff over there, whatever they need to construct the highway.
So right now the land is being held for tractors, trailers, supplies, construction supplies.
Yeah, part of it is. The other part, a developer has, I don't know the new developer, but there is a developer who has stepped in to give them, agree to their price. And I'm not really sure what all he is intending to put out here because I have not been attending the meetings lately.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you have people coming to you to houses out here knocking on your door asking to buy your property?
Yes, on the telephone, letters, and knocking on doors. I get it every day, several times a day.
You already know what that. You know what that is, right?
I know I'm not selling my property.
No, but you know what they're doing?
What?
They're trying to gentrify the city.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. See, they did that right here in Houston, 3rd Ward. They go to all the people's homes and knock on the doors and say, "Hey, they offer you cash on the spot for your house." That's what they'll do. There'll be a lot of white business owners, some will be Asian, Jewish business owners, and then if people let the property go, they trying to gentrify this town. That's all they're saying. So a historic black town will be gone if you guys sell.
Well,
because that's what they want.
It's amazing because so many people, older people, left their property to their kids, of course, and they've sold it.
I don't understand that about us. It's like, why would you do that? It's been places that's Mississippi, etc., got a lot of acres of land. As soon as the older people die, they just sell it off. It's like, why don't we value the hard work of our parents or our grandparents?
That's where I think when I say sometimes we have failed our kids because somehow we have not indoctrinated, what is the word I'm looking for? Indoctrinated in them the true value of the property and how hard your family, how hard they work to just get a place of their own.
Right.
And if you own nothing, your value is down. If you own a piece of property, at least you've got some value or more value than a person who doesn't have anything. But, we've had to fight drugs like every other community, so an influx of drugs to our young people, of course, that's one of the reasons they're selling off the land, ones who own it, because they're all messed up.
So basically, take the education out, don't have resources.
Right.
Now they want to come in and buy it for dirt cheap,
Yeah.
and then because of that I-4, they probably want to put a bunch of shopping malls and are probably about to build some nice condos, and then they're going to raise the prices so high that you can't afford the taxes, and then they're going to force you out that way too. That's what they do. They say they're doing it right there in Houston, so I know what I'm telling you. They're doing it all over the place. Even Harlem. When I went to Harlem, I'm looking around, and there's all these white people walking around Harlem with their little dogs, and say, "Wait a minute, where am I at? I'm in Harlem, and all these white people walking around." And Harlem is traditional black.
Yes.
And it's like they have a concerted effort, I'm noticing, to come out of the rural areas and back to the city. At one point in time they were in the cities, and then they had white flight out.
Right.
So what do you see in the future of this town? I mean, the route is going, because I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot with changes in our community. I mean, what do you see, just not only this town, but just the black community as a whole? Because in my opinion, and like I said, I don't have your experience, but in my opinion, we on life support as a community.
Yes, I believe that too. We are on life support because of this particular situation. As long as we hold on to that property, there was a time when there wasn't any white-owned properties. People proprietors in our city. Now they're buying your property, renting it back to you for twice as much. Not really fixing it like it should be, or tearing it down, because they really want to come in here and tear it down and then do it, as you stated, make it over again to be what they want it to be. But I think what we need to do is we need to put forth more effort in trying to meet with the young people, young adults, and the teenagers too, because they will soon be adults, and try to establish communication to show them how to hold on and show them how important it is to keep Eatonville as Eatonville.
So as you see with all this increase of different, you say a lot of white people starting to come in now. Okay, now have the racism came along with it?
No, I can't say that.
No, it's the more sort of liberal ones, possibly.
Yeah, it's more liberal, I would say, but
Yeah, because I'm looking at what's outside this door right here, and that's very liberal. What I'm seeing.
They choose their spots where they want to meet, but they're not near bold enough to be any kind of radical or out of order. They try to blend in. That's where we are now.
That's where we are now.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where we are now.
Now.
Yes.
Okay. So the mayor, what is he saying about any of this?
I don't know. We're actually right next to the mayor's office, and we have the assistant in here. We maybe can get an interview on that. I'm just not going to speak on the mayor. They say if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Well, I'll say something about the mayor.
I'm listening.
He's not the best, but he's far from being the worst that we have had.
I will give you that.
Far. Because I feel that the man that we had before, well, a few of the mayors we've had before, were interested in trying to better just themselves, not really the community. And in order to be a good mayor of the people, you got to have them at heart, people at heart. you got to work for what's best for the community, not just yourself. So because of not doing that, our former mayor has gotten into some trouble, you know, and he's trying to work through that. And the current one, at least, is not in that predicament. But he's got some things he's got to work on.
Okay, so Eatonville, we know it's historic, but they're trying to take it over as of right now. The police force that's here, is it all black police force?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our chief of police, assistant chief. Now, all of the police.
Yeah, is that what you mean by that?
What?
Meaning yeah. No. You mean like the head up, the hierarchy?
I mean, like just in general, I would think, you know, it's all.
You would think we'd have all black
Yeah.
policemen, no,
Yeah.
but we don't.
No.
We've had the integrated police force for quite a while. We've got, we had a big thing about one of our police officers who participated in the Pulse situation in Orlando, and because of that, he's got what's that? The problem that they have, you know, getting back into
PTSD?
Yeah, PTSD, and so we had to. I serve on the police retirement board, and so they had to come before our board to get him some help, and we did that. So he can't be a policeman anymore, but he'll at least have a small salary coming in to help out.
Okay.
Until he can get back on his feet.
Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of interesting. So, do you think in a town, let's say this town was reversed, you think they would have an integrated police force? Let's say this was a historic town, built by white people, never white people. You think they would have an integrated police force?
Well, probably not. But the problem that you have with policemen are the qualifications, what you have to do. And that's the group that you have to draw from for your police force. For the people who have had experience, because we don't have, we can't educate policemen and put them through all the training that a normal policeman would go through. So we try and pull from people who have had former police experience.
Right.
And unfortunately, they're not always your best policemen.
So you do better having one come straight out of the academy than actually getting one experience. Well, you know, a lot of jobs I worked in the past, they'd rather hire somebody new than somebody with experience, because they say, because they're not setting their ways. They say we could train them the way we want them and mold them. Right. So that's very interesting.
Something to say about that. That's getting somebody straight out of the academy. But police department is what it is.
That's interesting. It's interesting to hear.
Do we have Maitland police officer here, or we have our own force?
We have our own force. Now we do partner with Maitland for situations, and we partner with them several times a year for different events, and they will come.
Yeah.
And of course, we no longer have our fire department. We have to now rely on Orange County. We used to have like an all-volunteer fire department, because we never had funds to pay firemen for that thing. But we did. We meaning the citizens, built a fire station, and we still had volunteers to do that. But now we work with Orange County. Have an agreement with Orange County to handle our fire protection.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Walking historian.
Yeah. She should know the history of everything, and that's good, because we need that history, because a lot of us, we thinking that some things are new, but some things just aren't new. It's just remixed.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing. Like I said. But my thing is, I'm still going back to what she was saying about them trying to go after the homes. Like, it's like they sat down at the dinner table and say, okay, we're gonna go buy all the black communities up. It's like because they're doing it everywhere.
Well, now they do that. In
pray
fact,
on the
I
week.
know some people who are on committees and run a park, and who that's exactly what they have done. Decided we want to move, like the project on Lee Road. We want to move that further this way. They've already bought out almost all of the black-owned property in the park. And those people have moved to Eatonville and bought up lots, you know, whatever. And so now they want to come further this way. And most of the people, some of the older people who are in the way, they won't sell to. So that's a block for right now, but we don't know how long that's going to last. But yes, they did sit down in a planning meeting. They do that. They have their plans about what what they want and how to go about it.
That's why they're colonizers.
Yeah, it's true. That's why they colonize us, right? Hey, I mean, no matter what, they colonize everything. Colonize culture, colonize people, colonize house, colonize. They won't stop colonizing.
Yeah.
You know, that's why when you hear about Africa, I get pissed off even over there too. It's like if I see them certain things, I know. Well, you've been in Kenya, yeah, but if I see certain things in Kenya,
Like
Tiffany, if I see them insult somebody or whatever,
Okay.
I'm a black American. It's coming out. I don't like they colonizing. That's not right. That's not right.
They're not too, from what I hear, South Africa is really bad with that.
They
But
have more of them.
yeah, I heard it feels like you land in Malibu is what Kia describes.
Was she in Cape Town?
Yes.
Yeah, Cape Town is different than Joburg.
Well, she went there too, but she didn't really like Joburg. She said it was too busy. She felt like a nobody.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's you in the hood.
Yeah. But there's an interesting thing. She's worked with the Zora Neale Hurston Festival, and I know Zora Neale Hurston was one of your favorites. But Zora came from here. You know, this is the town of Zora Neale Hurston.
Oh, really?
Born. Yes.
Did you produce? Did you do some production?
No, she does the festival. There's a Zora
I'm
Neale
trying to throw
Hurston.
that in. Yeah, just ride with it. I'm off camera. Nobody knows who I. Actually, I was
Zora was raised here.
Was raised here? Where was
Yeah,
she?
she was. I can't remember where she was born, but they brought when she was a baby. They brought her here. Her father, Reverend Hurston, and his wife moved to Eatonville. And my church, Macedonia Baptist Church, is the church where he was one of the first ministers, one of the early ministers.
So Zora Neale Hurston's dad was a minister.
That church, yeah. And she came back. You know, she did a lot of her books were written about Eatonville. You know, from information that she gathered here.
Okay.
But you held the festival. You do the festival.
I did, I was on the board of directors for the festival, and I was in charge of the festival grounds, all of the vendors and everything that happens on the festival grounds. Did that for 15 years, so I had, stepped back. I had my time with it.
You had to step back to become a professional bowler. Talk about that too. Talk about that. We're gonna throw it all over.
I'd much rather become the professional golfer.
She
Really
loves
get
golf.
any money.
So, but you golf too?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What's your handicap?
Well, right now it's probably about 35. Haven't been playing lately.
Okay.
So do you play?
No, but Tiffany can take you to Kenya, and all the girls in Kenya play.
Play golf.
Yeah,
Oh.
the fast ones especially.
I had some golf lessons. We used to.
No, that's the thing. All the Kenya girls, that's the part of their game.
That they play
learn
golf.
to play golf.
And they're good.
Do
at
they
it.
actually play?
Yeah, and they're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they're, when I say fast, I mean that,
All right.
in the original term.
When I was working, we had a group, and they would say, we're going to the golf course. So, dummy me, I thought they were going to play.
What were they going for?
They were going to meet the guys,
Oh.
sit in the lounge and drink or whatever. I got my golf clubs.
You ready to shoot 18 holes? Oh man.
It's interesting. Eatonville is an interesting town. We moved here in 1941.
From where?
We moved from Montezuma, Georgia. That's right. And it's so amazing because all of our streets were dirt when we moved here. And slowly they were able to like pave this street out here, Kennedy Boulevard, and then they got a grant for infrastructure. We used to brag that we were the only city in Florida with all paved streets. We got every street was paved. We were so thrilled about that. But that was better than when I first came, and there was dirt, and you used to walk and get sand spurs in your feet, you know. And
Oh wow.
yeah, it has come a long way.
But no bone spurs, right?
No,
You know what I'm talking about?
The house. It's called the Thomas House now, so it's the oldest house in Eatonville. It was originally a church, right?
right.
Am I right?
It was a St. Lawrence Church.
Okay.
And then they moved it on logs. You know how they used to move buildings? Logs like this under the house. And then they would move a little bit every day. Move it a little bit every day till they got it moved from across the street to where it is now.
Boy, that was beautiful times, wasn't it?
I wasn't here during that time.
And the people doing the work might not say that. Say, give us some of this.
Yeah,
But you guys turned that church into a house.
right.
And then you guys lived there. And when I say you guys, your mom had how many kids?
We were all there.
Oh, okay.
My mom had
I didn't know
16
that.
kids.
Right, right. That's why.
My oldest sister.
Oh, one income?
By one.
Well, you call it one income. I call it a lot of incomes because every one of us worked. From the time you were about 10 until you got out of the house. You worked. But not in anybody's kitchen or anything like that. We went to New York every year. My father was a contractor for migrant workers. And when I was working at one of the schools, and we were talking about history, and I mentioned my father was a migrant worker contractor. Oh, don't tell people that. Don't tell people that you're a migrant worker. And I said, but we were proud of it. You know why? Because we made such a good living that when we come back to Florida, we didn't have to work. We had all of our school clothes paid for. My father was probably one of the first black men who had balloon payments, and we didn't know that's what it was. But he made 2 payments a year on his truck, 2 payments a year on the car, and 2 payments a year on the house. And that's how he paid for it. But we would go up and work. We made good money, and he was able to make those payments. And we come back to Florida, we would go to school. My mom didn't have to work during that time. My father had a small crew that he used to, work until May. And we're getting ready now to leave and go back to New York again. And I went the first semester of school in New York, second semester in school here in Eatonville. Almost all of my life. That's how I went to school.
How much money were you making in New York?
Enough so we didn't have to work when we came back to Florida.
Well, yeah. Let's try to put that in context and say, you made the.
Well, he was a migrant worker, but he was like the boss of the field.
Yeah, he was the contractor.
Right.
So he got commission from everybody he took.
Right.
And as they did their work, and my father could barely read and write, but you couldn't outcount him. He knew exactly how many people, how much they did every day, and he knew exactly how much he should get at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, he was smart. Too bad he didn't, wasn't allowed to get a good education. He was a smart man. And he insisted that we all go to school. We had to work when we went up there, but when we got back to Florida, we had to go to school. And he said, I can't help you with homework, so you got to be able to get your own homework. And you better get it. No
That's
question
awesome.
there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.